Welcome to Bravo Happy Hour. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and today's episode is blessed with the presence of Moni Marcus. She is the host of Mixing with Moni, which is a podcast all about Bravo TV, pop culture. And if you're listening to this show, you're listening to Moni's show. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I literally have to tell you, I love that you always, say that someone is blessing the presence of the show. So I wanted to have like a stamped intro for everything too. I got that from you. So I'm a copycat.
I will take it all. I mean, I think I wrote it one time, and then I was like, I kind of think this works, and I'm really lazy, and so I'm like, this really works because I don't have to.
I say as promised, and I honestly think, like, not to get like deep and philosophical, but it's literally because I teach kids, and promising to a child is like the cardinal sin, but also like the biggest thing you can do. They will remember it for years to come. If you don't follow through, they will remember even longer. So like, I think that I feel always compelled because I work with kids to like really emphasize that I came through on the promise because you can't take it lightly. So I do it to adults too. Because I wouldn't we want something good promised to us,
I appreciate that because I've been in therapy being like, and then my mom told me the whole week that she promised that she would take me to the mall on Saturday, and then Saturday came. And we didn't go to the mall.
There
so
it is.
I'm working through it. So you guys don't promise things to your children unless you can actually follow through on those. But
I'm saving people money on therapy.
Thank you so much. You're doing the Lord's work over there. So if you guys don't know, we're also on YouTube. I'm an Ina Garten cosplay right now and a puka shell necklace, which I don't know what the look is. I can't figure it out, but I really am leaning into it. But Moni, show everybody what you're wearing because, we're debating if you're going to post it after this show.
I know. I am wearing my sweatshirt that I got from Kay from Gold Half Moon. A fantastic Bravo fan merch website and Etsy store. And it is, of course, the Stassi saying, I don't know what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio. For the record, I got this before. I've always like really not been a fan of Stassi, but I did get this well before. It was a birthday gift from Kay. She has since decided to donate all the money from all of her Stassi merchandise to various like Black Lives Matter charities. And so I'm very appreciative of that. I am furious that as she sent this to me, it had nothing to do with Stassi, with me wanting to get it. I love Pinot Grigio, and it very much so is a conversation piece. And she always makes good sweatshirts that like make people stare at them, and they go, like who don't know anything what's happening. And it literally is someone staring at you. It's like, I don't know what I've done to you, but I'll take a Pinot Grigio. It works really well with strangers. So I will say I'm happy I've never wanted it out of the house. So I've never given it the light of day. Thank you, quarantine, because I don't know if I should burn it or not now. But like, I feel like that also feels a little dramatic. It's very, very soft, very comfortable. And it was made by a woman of color. It's an Asian woman. So we're still supporting minority businesses and things like that. And this is Stassi got none of this money. So I feel okay. All of them went to Kay, who is a beautiful soul, very kind.
Beautiful transaction. Yeah, I have her Blocked by Jack's hoodie, and I was like wearing it when I was running, like in the wintertime, and then people would stare at me, and then I'd be like, what are they looking at? And then one time this guy like gave me like a double guns, and I was like, we get it. You get you're the only person. Like, and I ended up wearing that hoodie because I don't like have hoodies because I have like corporate wear and then like workout clothes, and I don't really have like any in between. So I was like wearing it a lot during the winter when I was like in quarantine, like not able to wear anything else. And then it's like the stares you get from people. But then I'm like, this is where it's actually kind of good. You can kind of wean out cool people in your life where it's like, do you get it or do you not get it?
BFF. Are you kidding? I think I have one that says also from her. It's the one from Kristen when Kristen was crying to Stassi. God, I gotta burn that too. What the f is this?
You might have to burn your whole wardrobe too.
They say such narcissistic, wild things on that show, so they make the best slogans. I mean, it's Bravo, and it's the one. Yes, it's like I think hers is I want to have lunch and like judge people and stuff, and it's a really fun saying because I've had a lot of like old white women look at me like, well, that sounds fun. They have no idea what it is. I'm like, I know this is my aesthetic. We could be friends. I get it.
Me in 40 years with my full Ina Garten, like seeing a.
I mean, you're almost there. You're almost there.
Honestly, I'm gonna make a baked chicken. I'm gonna get some roasted carrots, and yeah, like
that actually sounds really good.
A supportive, rich husband, and never leave the Hamptons.
I think that's a great time. I actually love that idea.
Well, we have to jump right into news. So last week was all about Stassi and Kristen and Brett and Max, who, like, how sad for them. Like, they don't even get the press for getting fired. Like, those two guys are like, damn, we don't even make the headlines anymore. We're fired too, you know.
Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a fuck. But Stassi is pregnant. That is the word on the street per Us Weekly and People Magazine. And
the crisis manager.
Okay, so her and Kristen hired a crisis manager. I ended up trying to like find some shit about this guy. His name is what? Steve Honig.
Honig.
And I saw on his LinkedIn, it says, Honig made international headlines when troubled actress Lindsay Lohan hired him to handle all her press throughout the two most tumultuous years of her life. The media credited him as being one of the most effective and innovative public relations professionals, which led to his hiring by other high-profile celebrities embroiled in scandals and his reputation as a problem solver and crisis go-to person. The fact that those two were like, we need to go to Lohan's, dude. And Lohan didn't bounce back from any crises. So I don't know why they would trust Steve, or whatever his name's, what's his name? Steve's job record.
The irony that they also thought Stassi would think she was on Lindsay Lohan level of crisis. You are a reality TV star at best. At best, you are a reality TV star. At worst, you're a Bravo reality star, which means you're not even pulling the numbers of, like, you're not like a Bachelor. You know what I'm saying? Like, the girls on The Bachelor, they're just, if anyone makes it into the top 12 of The Bachelor, they have reasonably the same amount of followers as Stassi.
Which is so
like
crazy, because The Bachelor...
Jimmy, 2.13 million followers. Because it's like, The Bachelor, people don't even recognize Bravo is such a little bubble. The ratings that we're like, oh my God, this show, we're all obsessed. Who's not watching? Why did it get canceled? It's because, girl, they never hit 2 million. Like, ever. Like, it doesn't happen. And The Bachelor is pulling like 3 or 4 times that. Like, other reality shows pull numbers. There are viewers, honey. So it's like, girl, you are not Lindsay Lohan. Like, The Parent Trap, Mean Girls, you are not. So
which one? Oh, Georgia Rule. What was that one?
Right, like, are you kidding me? Like, Freaky Friday, are you crazy? Like, from 10 to like 29, she worked. So, or 25 or whatever, she worked. So obviously her crises were, she was really losing it all. You lost like some diff eyewear, you know, promo swipe ups, okay? But at the same time, you're right. Lindsay didn't really come back. So
she's been teasing new music for like 6 months now, and I'm just anxious.
Oh, she sings. I forgot about that.
I mean, she's kind of like a triple threat, like singer, dancer, actress. Like, those dance moves in the Mykonos, like, would have you do background dancing for Beyonce. Like, if anybody drops.
Okay, sure.
So we get this news that Stassi is pregnant with Beau's baby, and I just don't like know how to really comprehend it. I think it's really convenient timing that now we've all been mom shaming and mom shaming a racist, and her poor baby in utero has been dealing with all of this stress. But I'm questioning the timeline of it a little bit. So they filmed the reunion at the end of April, and they were drinking. And then Stassi, a couple weeks ago on her podcast, was talking about how her and Beau have been doing shrooms during quarantine a lot. And then even this, like, you know, I'm nowhere near having a baby, but I feel like you kind of wait until like your end of the third trimester to begin telling people. Oh, first. Yeah, that would be.
At the, like, between like 3 to 6 months is when the people, kind of like when Hannah from Below Deck told us, that's usually when people wait, because once we start showing we are in a lot safer of a zone, and of course still anything can happen, but anything before that, it is really touch and go. You don't really know. So you tell like maybe your family, but really it's just your partner and your OBGYN. And
Yeah.
that's about it until you know for certainty. You might tell your mom, you don't want to get her hopes up, but you want it to be,
Unless it's
official.
mother. I probably would.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I would call her either, even though it seems like she has already. So I did have on my show just this week, actually, a very, very famous, big friend, long-term friend of mine from high school who's also a publicist. And we worked through, I mean, I only had him, I had him on for a lot of reasons. I had him on because when the statements were released of Kristen and Stassi, I really was like, okay, one of these is not like the other. One of these makes you want to say, go fuck yourself. I wonder if I can say that. So I literally texted him the statements, no names. He doesn't watch the show. And I was like, tell me the true tea as a publicist. Who wrote what? Did a publicist write this? Is this real? Would you have let your talent put this out? Like, how much of this can a client write on their own? What would you have said? And he gave me such good information. Really, all I was looking for was the ability to say, go fuck yourself to Stassi's. That's it. And he gave me that. And I was like, the people should know what else you said. And I had him on, and he legitimately told me what he would do, the strategy for this. However, not everything is recoverable. And he felt like this was one of those things, especially because it's old and she has a pattern, that it was not really recoverable. So it would enter crisis mode. And he told me the things that should happen. And he was like, I don't think it will happen, just from what you're telling me. So I don't have a lot of faith in that. And of course, it didn't. And the very next day after I released that, she's pregnant. And I'm like, so what do you think? And he's like, I mean, I've asked, like I said on your show, I'm pretty sure she would go into finding something new to be a press release to kind of take her mind off of this. And it's also no secret, like Andy has even said that he would feel uncomfortable, like having a pregnant woman fired on his show. Like he wouldn't, one of his shows, he wouldn't like that. Though he's not a part of casting like that anymore, he doesn't hire and fire people. You have to admit, like Teddy, Eva, the reason they're still on these shows is because they're, I'm sorry, I'm not saying they got pregnant to stay on the show, but their fate is a little bit more solidified until they're not pregnant, because I mean, that's an HR nightmare. That is bad press. So is this a play to get her job back? I don't know. I want to believe that she's actually pregnant, and I want to believe she just so happened to find out on Thursday. Although if you think you've missed your period from Monday to Friday, it's probably because you're stressed as you lost everything.
She's like making immediate statements. It's like, girl, you're just 5 days late. Like you're not.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I must be like, I'm like really like 72 hours late. And then all of a sudden I'm pregnant. It must be.
And like, of course I'm happy for her. Like babies are great. I love babies.
Babies are great. It's a great opportunity to learn and grow.
Yeah. But I think this might be like a Phaedra Parks baby timeline situation where like none of the dates are adding up. I feel like this baby's going to come in like 11 months and it's going to be like, wait, what? Like,
oh, it's just a month overdue.
So,
because honestly, what else would you do with that information?
I don't know how I feel. And a bunch of people have hit me up on Instagram. One, like, Stassi has been such a polarizing conversation, and Stassi, Chris, and all of this. Like, either you're, like, fire them and tar and feather these racists and take them out of the society, or you're, like, on the other side where you're...
I love you more.
Well, exactly. So
stand up for Stassi.
Her brother, Nikolai, who... was the voice of reason on Vanderpump. Like, he was the most mature person on Vanderpump Rules at age 9. And he came on Instagram the other day with, like, a teary-eyed video saying, this goes out to Lisa Vanderpump, Vanderpump Rules, Bravo TV, and anyone that has been involved in getting Stassi fired. It was Stassi's fault for getting Stassi fired.
Stassi was involved in getting Stassi fired.
Getting that. He proceeds to say, I'm like quoting like a 16-year-old boy named Nikolai. I need a hobby. I want everyone to hear me out because my sister is one of the most loving people you will ever meet in your life. Then proceeds to say, Faith, please, is there any way that she can fix anything or do anything that can benefit both of you guys to get her career back and to make you live the best life ever? Is there anything we can do for you? Please. I don't want my sister like this anymore. I love all you guys, but please, one more chance to forgive her. Bro, your sister could reach out to Faith. At least Kristen gave Nick, reach out on DM on Instagram. But if Stassi is just consistently silent, maybe that's the first step towards mending that bridge. When, like, Faith has been on 100 interviews saying she never once was friends with Stassi or Kristen. She said, I probably spoke to them one time before Sheena's party where, like, all of the drama started with Jax and Faith hooking up rumors began. Like,
so can I just say, even if they did reach out to Faith and there was something she could do to make sure they could mutually benefit each other or whatever, what does that have to do with Bravo wanting to fire someone for racially insensitive things? The employer still has the right to be like, this is a liability. So, like, it's not even just like they were, I mean, yes, they were trying to make an example out of the two of them. However, it is a liability to have people who are racially insensitive on a network that promotes progressive, inclusive behavior and diversity. Hello. Well, this is like HR 101, and I am not an HR specialist, okay? Like, this doesn't seem like rocket science to me. It's like, even if she did reach out to Faith, which is the right thing to do, she should do it without trying to get her job back. It should not be because she's trying to get her job back and her career back. If the brands don't want to work with you, girl, it's because they don't trust you to not be a racist in the future. It has nothing to do with the fact that you just didn't reach out to Faith. I mean, yes, that shows bad faith. Yes, that shows bad judgment. But, like, if I'm a brand person, I'd be like, oh, isn't that girl who called the cops on the black girl back in like 2017? Oh, that seems shicey. I don't think I want to touch that. Anyone else? Like, I would do that too. Like, well, she apologized. Like, but is she gonna do it again? Like, it's just a pattern of distrust. Isn't that the girl who, was questioning why Black Lives Matter is a thing on the internet, like on the podcast? Oh, that seems shicey.
Multiple different.
Like, isn't that the girl who was like claiming to be Nazi chic?
Correct.
When there are actively Jewish people that watch the show and did not expect to see that at all, maybe didn't want to be confronted with the word Nazi and not see it used positively. Oh, I don't think we want to touch that. That seems strange.
During the Me Too movement, that it was men are being hunted down and it's men are really struggling during this time. I'm like, those sad little rapists.
Yeah, see, and I'd be like, as a PR person for a brand, I'd be like, that's a lot of fires to put out. I mean, she also got dropped by her PR, and my friend Donovan, who is the publicist of my podcast, was telling me what can happen is that there can be easily the PR relations company that is like, it's too many fires. Like, it's just too many that we have to put out behind the scenes, and too many crises. It's too much. So if we're constantly answering calls because things are going wrong with you, that really tarnishes our job, which is to literally keep and create and manifest a relationship with the public. If the public is constantly mad at you, how can we maintain the relationship? So, and he's like, girl, it's so easy to make sure that you don't get canceled for at least cultural things. That is easy PR stuff. That is simply sitting you down and be like, listen, girl, this is not what we do. We can't have these things. We need to learn. And it just really strikes me as interesting, but not surprised at all, that she's not taking this time to really think about learning. Never once did it seem like I'm open to having conversations. I want to learn more. I'm reading books. Like, I constantly bring up Hannah Brown from The Bachelorette's apology, because it took her 2 weeks of silence. Stassi was also silent for a while, not that long, but a while. And I always say Hannah Brown gave us in-text citations of literally who she was reading, who she was watching. She quoted what she heard. She wrote down notes and was like, this is not a written statement. I just didn't want to forget anything. I want to make sure I touch on everything. She even called her own fans to action. She was like, hey, fans of mine who are white, this apology is not really for you, but also don't defend my actions because you love me. Learn and grow with me. We have to do better. This is a marathon or whatever, like, not a race. We must continue to grow and learn and listen. And I'm going to do that. Promises of action, literally a showcase of education, a willingness to learn more, and a formal I'm sorry, not an apology. I'm sorry that I hurt you, not if I hurt you or whatever. And she did it to the people that were hurt, which was us. Stassi did not do that to Faith. So The answer is not I'm pregnant. The answer is I'm learning. I want to do better. I now understand. It's like why I didn't have as much of an issue with Kristen's apology. It did not feel PR focused to me, and it felt like she was really at least giving the implication of I now know what is wrong here, and I've identified it as this, that, and the third. These are the things that is wrong with what this is. I did not know that then. I know it now, that calling the cops on a Black person can cause a level of trauma and is racially insensitive that was not warranted, especially for some shit she didn't do. So I can understand. Look, I mean, weaponizing the police against anyone already seems like you should probably have like your fucking license taken. Like,
You're
what? Who just called? If I was the cops, I'd be like, I should arrest you. Like, are you crazy?
Like,
girl, put the phone down. Like the military police, girl. Are you crazy? You're going to call the military police and bother them with this? Are you crazy? I'm looking at her like, y'all have way too much time on your hands, and that's the problem.
Yeah, clearly. So the thing about Stassi and this whole entire thing is like, she's canceled for now, but in 6 months she's going to have a book. In a year, next level canceled.
Megan.
Next
I give her
level
3.
Canceled.
I give her 3 to be on any. I give her less than 3 to be on a talk show. She's going to sit down with an interview. It's going to be on the television or on the internet. Face to face. Her and Kristen. They're going to talk about the relationship getting back on track. They bonded in unemployment. As soon as she's officially pregnant and there's a sign of it, she'll be on there. They're going to get her pregnant. Like this week, she's getting pregnant. So
Turkey
I suggest, they're going to make it happen. And then she's going to be on a TV or on a camera, and she is 100% going to talk. I give her, if she really is pregnant, and God, I hope she is. That's not something that you lie about. And I don't want to think that's what she did, because
I don't think
Jesus, that's not it.
I don't think as much as like she's an asshole and trying to like figure out what her next move is. Like I think Beau would not be down for that. I feel like he would.
Yeah, I don't think he would be
willing to like co-sign a rumor like that,
right?
Because God forbid, like what's the option if she can't actually get pregnant in this time, then she has to go through a fake miscarriage,
then she
whatever.
1,000% be canceled.
Yeah, like that
the
is
Karens and the Stacys and the Stephanies would be like, oh bitch, now even we can't. we can't even support you through fake baby. Okay, that's not right. That's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
you can't do that. That's almost as bad as Brooks and the faking of the cancer. You can't do that. Like, that's just not right. You can't play on people's sympathy card. But because of that, if she really is pregnant, I give you 6 to 8 weeks after the baby is born, she's on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, what could also happen is, like, remember when after Luann got arrested and, like, Andy went to her house in the Hamptons with, like, a bottle of rosé, and he was like, let's talk. Like, I feel like a conversation like that could happen where he's like, what's our next step? And Stassi was supposed to get married in October. We know that. Now there's this baby situation. She's not on the show. Like, as much as I don't think she's going to get a spinoff, but Stassi's not canceled forever. Like, let's not forget, like, Woody Allen has been, like, raping his kids and, like, been a creep forever, and he's still making movies. He's still writing books. Alec
getting awards.
Terrible. Louis C.K. raping left and right, and, like, he's, like, doing small underground comedy clubs for his real fans. Like, people will still show up for her. People will still – she still has 2 million followers.
Some people love you more when you're an asshole.
People will not – completely cancel her. Like, the people who support her will stick with her for the next book, for the next show, whatever she does. And so even, like, her little brother being like, please get her back on the show, like, that ship has sailed. Vanderpump Rules and her no longer a thing. She's gonna have to figure out
a hot fire of trash. It's like been dumpster fire for a minute, at least 2 seasons. I mean, I gave up on it before all of this, and I have been like, it's not for it not have, being a great show in the past. It's just that it feels very forced. And it feels like, I'm sorry, Stassi is probably the worst because she was literally like the little princess of Bravo. But most of that cast could be combed through, and we'd be not that hard pressed to find things that we need to get rid of them all for. Jack's still having a job after season 1. I'm shocked. I'm just like, this has never been our goal. as a network, to promote positivity and inclusivity and new. Yeah, we want to polarize and we tolerate bullshit, and that's Jax.
Well, yeah,
Lala has been culturally appropriating Black culture probably since she showed up at the door. So please,
Lala, straight. I will pop you. I will pop you. It's like, with what?
My eyes can't roll enough. Like, I want them to roll more, and they can't. And they're just like, we have to save it for something else. We have to save it for the next topic. We can't roll it always on Lala, but it will always roll for Lala.
She did reach out to Faith. Faith said to TMZ, like, Faith, get this money, girl. Like, get these interviews, get these exclusives.
What's so sad is that Faith is so used, especially as a Black woman, I can say we're so used to taking the high road because we are literally taught growing up that in whatever workplace we're in, white people will be assholes to us. Even the best of them, the worst of them, they're all going to be there. We cannot escape it. So we're taught to, like, just deal with it. So the fact that she literally mentioned this whole thing in passing and that it was bragged about years ago on a very big podcast, that it just all went over everyone's head because she's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, they did that. It's wild that it happened. Right. We're just taught that it's what happens. And she's like, I'm just lucky to, be able to move past it. And it's like, now people are like, Faith, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, we're literally taught it is what it is. And that's the sad part.
When she was talking with Candace on that Instagram Live, Candace was like, wait, what? And then I feel like as Candace was, like, kind of having, like, a realization, Faith then began being like, yeah, that was, like, incredibly fucked up. I feel like she kind of was like, you're fucking right. Like,
and then it feels like, especially during this time, the rest of us were like, don't even sweat your edges out, girl. We got it.
Yeah.
We will take it from here. Because I was like, oh,
we will take it.
Nah. I will literally go to Bravo right now. I will find my way to New York. I will go to the epicenter of this pandemic, roll right on up to 30 Rockefeller and curse somebody in Bravo out. I surely will. Look, you have got to be kidding me. And you fire Faith? I already had an issue when they fired Billy Lee instead of Jax for Jax being transphobic. I was like, how? Explain this to me. How this makes sense. Like,
so Lisa Vanderpump put out her cockamamie statement, which I'm not even going to read the whole.
Eyes are going to hurt by the end of this.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm, like, apologizing to the listeners. I'll give you guys a truncated version of this crock of shit. So, blah, 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 blah. As we've... I can't even, like... Over the past 2 weeks, many things have been brought to my attention, of which many others were previously unaware. Bitch, no, you weren't. If your cast members are being written up years ago in the Daily Mail, you are aware. Your producers are aware. You were aware.
Well, your name is on the door. The restaurant is called Pump.
Yeah. So,
legitimately, you everywhere.
So she says, as many of you, after watching me for 10 years, I've always been an equal rights activist and ally. My family, parentheses like minus Max probably, my businesses, and I condemn all forms of cruelty, racism, homophobia, bigotry, and unequal treatment. We've never tolerated it in the workplace and our lives. While you see a fraction of our employees on the show, a specific friend group all across our companies, we have very diverse group of people, every color, ethnicity, sexual orientation. Most of our employees have worked with us for over a decade. We have become a family, one that embraces and celebrates one another's differences. Yada, yada, yada. The world needs to move forward with a kinder generation. Everyone deserves to feel safe, heard, and appreciated in our communities. Yada, yada, yada. So she doesn't address anything that anyone said other than that we don't believe in cruelty, which that's great, Lisa. You shouldn't agree with cruelty. But what action are you going to take to actually make a change in the show that you produce, in the restaurants that you run? Also, there is such unfair treatment. We saw Danica get fired because her boyfriend suggested a threesome and then she pushed him and was upset, when Jax has screamed at every single person in Pump during shifts, not Pump, but Sir, for the past 10 years and done 15 other atrocious things that we've seen on screen, let alone...
Well, the one I like to constantly remind people of is that Lala was acting as a hostess and verbally annihilated Raquel in the middle of a brunch service.
I forgot about
just like last year, and called her Bambi-eyed bitch. Like, the way she spoke to her in the middle of your restaurant in front of other customers, and Raquel was a customer. So all I have to say with everything you just said is, I got a fantastic charcoal and sand cuticle exfoliator from Sally Hansen from CVS for $5.99. It's fantastic. I was just inspecting it because that seemed like it was a little bit more pressing for my attention. And it works very well, especially during this time where I can't go to the nail salon yet. People should definitely get it. It has like a cute little like comb on it. You like squeeze it out and like roll it all over your cuticles. It's fantastic.
My nails are atrocious. I was looking at them the other day. I'm like, what would pay $10,000 for a pedicure right now?
I'm not even gonna lie. I would risk a lot of things for it. Like, I am all for the social distance. I am an autoimmune disease patient, so I am like, stay away from me. Please do not breathe near me. I am very scared. I do not go outside. I've contemplated how good my health insurance. I've looked up my benefits on my health insurance to get my nails done. It's not. I understand I'm not well. I don't want people to look at me and be like, "Does she not know how serious?" I am not a Kelly Dodd. I know how serious this is. This is serious. We all need to take care of ourselves. But also, myself needing to be taken care of includes my nails. They are not taken care of. I can't do it. I've tried many times. I need a full set. It's come down to me looking at these like little Amazon polymer kits like from China and being like, I need to get this polymer kit and I need to like make the little acrylics myself. And I'm like, I can't do that. No. I'm not a professional.
6 hours later, they look.
Yeah, it's like they look janky. They make it look so easy, little IGTV. But I'm there. I'm already like, $70. That's not bad. I'll get that. And I'm like, no. I need to wait until the pandemic is clearer, people are safe, numbers are down, and then it's safe for me to go and I can responsibly get my nails done. But I'm like, well, how long is that gonna take? I look ridiculous.
I know. I like was cutting spinach the other day and I like cut half of my thumbnail off and then it was bleeding. And at that point I was like, God doesn't even want me to have nails anymore because he knows like there's no ability to keep them. I can't even stop looking at it. Anyways, doesn't everyone love to know about bloody nails?
But isn't this so much more important than Lisa's ridiculous statement that said nothing for 3 paragraphs? My friend Donovan, when I read it to him, he goes, well, she could have kept the first 2 paragraphs alone. She could have just kept those. I'm like, exactly.
I just think public apologies that don't address a single thing. It's kind of ridiculous.
Or apologize.
And I love that.
What did we come here for?
Faith mentioned on some podcast, she's been on now 7,000 podcasts, but she was like, Lisa Vanderpump would be out protesting if this were for dogs. But it's not. You don't hear a word about Black Lives Matter or anything about police brutality. Just zipping her lips and keeping quiet, which is really
our good friend Cara Berry from Everyone's Business But Mine just responded to every single one of these Stassi's, Kristen's, and Lisa's statements. She just goes, okay.
By the way, I have a new series with Cara coming out. It comes out on her show on Wednesday, I think. Yeah, it comes out on Wednesday. It's called Mommy Dearest, where we go through Bravo mommy issues. So this past week we did Deandra and Dee, where we did like a full recap of their life and their relationship. Next month, Candace and Mama Dorothy from
So Potomac. Where's the invitation? Am I expecting it? Is it still
it's coming next month, and we could do like a trio where we all do like we're like switching each other's feeds so that we can like cross promote.
So my mom actually looked at a house right in Candace's neighborhood. Like she was going to move literally across the street from where she is in that same little development. And I went to Candace's husband's alleged restaurant with some other friends.
Alleged restaurant?
Yeah, he doesn't own it.
He is a manager.
He doesn't own it. Okay.
I feel like Dorothy probably owns it and is like somehow like paying his
All
bill.
I know is the staff was like, girl, we know who signs our check and that man ain't it. And I was like, oh.
I love asking what is Chris's like position in this whole company.
Do you know me? I'll do it all. I'll do anything for the pod. I really went just to make like
margaritas, and I need to see your pay stub in W-9.
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, and it's incredibly overpriced. I just have to say. I'm just saying. I think he might be managing partner, but I am also pretty sure that he is not.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a I need to see a pay stub.
Yeah, it's also nowhere on the website, his name at all. So, in fact, the person who whose idea it was, his name's there and his partner's name's there. The names are just not Chris. So,
Well, hey Chris, let us know if you're
maybe
listening.
silent, maybe a silent partner, but yet on TV. That makes sense.
Very, very not silent.
Yeah, I can't wait to come on. So, yeah, that'd be great.
So switching gears a little bit onto another known fucking racist at this rate. Kathryn Dennis from Southern Charm is in some hot water with a new lawsuit. So back in November 2019, Kathryn hired a crisis manager who I think crisis managers have never been more in demand than right now. Like I've had someone like if you're looking to get a new job after the quarantine, go into crisis management because there are a lot of free positions open. Yeah. So Kathryn hired this woman whose name is actually Kathryn Leonard, and she hired her back in November to kind of rework her image before season 7 because I think supposedly Kathryn had been starting this rumor that Cameron's husband was having the affair, and all of the girls knew. Naomi, Chelsea, and Cam all knew, and then all were kind of like, we're gonna leave the show. And I think that's also why filming got pushed back anyways, because I think Kathryn was causing trouble and all of the girls were like, we're the fuck out of here. Like, we don't need this. All of us have things going on outside of the show. We don't need to deal with her crap. So Kathryn hired this girl and is now refusing to pay the $5,000 she owes her. Supposedly by June 1st, she was supposed to pay all this money back, but we have no updates on this. But it's like, Kathryn, girl, pay your bills. This is creating another crisis. Like, and you have a crisis that happened 1 month ago. So have you hired a new crisis? Actually, I don't even think she hired a crisis manager for the whole monkey emoji thing. I feel like she's like,
I don't think she thinks that that's an issue.
This is me. And I actually don't need a crisis manager because
that's acceptable racism, sure.
Oh my God. I was not surprised when I saw this. But what I was surprised with is that supposedly Southern Charm New Orleans is canceled. And I find this
I'm devastated by this.
How ridiculous. Like, Southern Charm.
I thought they were filming in like February. I don't know how we go from that to a pandemic where filming halts and we decide to scrap a show when we don't have any shows. That seems backwards.
Yeah. And also, it's also hilarious considering people are calling for Southern Charm Charleston to be canceled because the whole cast is a bunch of ignorant idiots, and yet the cast from New Orleans that has a couple black people on it and like isn't a fully whitewashed horrible cast and shows like a different representation of the South gets canceled. Like
a more accurate one. Like the whole South is not just white people. You do know that what makes this like a little history lesson. There was a little thing called slavery. There were some people involved. They were seemingly black, and most of them stayed in America. And so, where they stay, some migrated to the North, some fought for the South. In fact, look up the little statistics of who fought in the Civil War, because a lot of people who wanted the Civil War to end in the South's honor, in the South's favor, didn't fight for it. So, because why would they? You know, they're on the plantations, they're having some iced tea, they're fine. So they send their slaves to fight for their own slavery. So why not send the enslaved to do that work? However, once it was abolished, where did they go? I don't know. Let's find out. I think it's the South. Why? Because there's also a little thing called Juneteenth, which means that even though it was abolished when Abraham Lincoln said, oh, slavery gotta go,
we're done.
It didn't actually end for everyone at that day. It ended a little while later. In fact, Juneteenth is coming up. It is
Friday.
Well, it's Friday. I think you can just look up the same day that Trump is having a rally, and it's that day. So it's like, you know, coincidence. I think not. But fun fact, Black people love the South. Stayed because of roots. So the idea that we've had now 3 Southern Charm franchise attempts, 2 of them have been all white. Only one of them has been majority Black. And only the second one to be canceled is the one that had no real issues. But the first one to be canceled had a lot of racial issues. I think we're doing this very wrong. I just really do. Because Charleston, not even, I hate to be this person because I believe race is actually involved in most, if not everything. But to even take race out of it, the seasons were getting boring on Charleston. There was not much there. We went from very like highfalutin wealthy people to, I love Chelsea, but a hairdresser. So, I mean, that, and Madison was also a hairdresser. Like, it became very too relatable. When we signed up for Patricia and Thomas and like,
we don't want to say, but Thomas was like,
that was a very big draw that these people still owned their own plantations. Like, their dad's names were on the bridges. They had like the small cities, like they were cocaine snorting senators, like things like that. Like, we signed up for the epitome of white privilege, not like, this is the girl I went to college with. Like, once it got into like, there was obviously both sides because Craig was like, law school and he wasn't that wealthy, but his dynamic with Shep and stuff was always that he was the pauper and Shep was the prince. So to get to like now like half the cast is regular and the other half is like obscenely wealthy, it was like, okay, this is not kind of like in the middle. Maybe we need some different representation because their dynamic in the group just wasn't even that investable anymore. There was no longer any more crazy. Kathryn can't really be crazy on TV. She got her kids taken from her again. So, and she was seemingly sober. So there was not a lot of draw anymore. So what do? We invest into other cities. There are lots of cities in the South. Like, I'm so confused. The South is the whole region. Why are we just putting all of our eggs into the Charleston basket? And he had to like restart them on like what, 3 or 4 times? Like, come on, obviously give it up. Don't beat a dead horse. But New Orleans was working. It actually got very good in the second season. The girl got married and had a baby very Phaedra-like in a very short amount of time. She got divorced, engaged, pregnant, married, all at once in like one season and told like no one. Her own best friend is like, I'm sorry, what? There's a what? A ring, a baby, and they're still together and making jewelry. Like, it's a thing. And she downgraded in looks. I'm just saying, from Jeff to Reese, or something, whatever his name is. I don't remember. He's not really memorable. And like, but that was the thing. Like, we want John Moody, and also,
I love John Moody. His
New Orleans cast.
Dude, aren't you hot? Like, I feel like he's wearing like big like jackets.
But also, Southern Charm New Orleans cast is arguably the most attractive cast on TV.
I mean, Tamika. I saw her at Watch What Happens Live.
Tamika is.
She was like the most beautiful person.
I don't like looking at her straight on. It's annoying. I'm like, oh, girl, where do you get that face? Where do you get that? Who's your face with? What make it to you? I want to ask too many questions. I kind of want to like just like be her for a day. Like, she's so poised, so put together, tall, gorgeous, slim. Like, she's gorgeous. Her husband is also gorgeous. They're so fine as a couple. Like, their kids are gorgeous. I'm just like, go away. But also come back and stay on my screen for all of eternity. I like to look at pretty people do pretty things, okay?
Well, another really interesting choice by Bravo, which they have just been so confused the past few weeks. They are bringing Don't Be Tardy back, and it is slated to come back mid-July.
Oh, God.
It's as if every single thing that we have been asking for as an audience just hasn't been listened to, other than the Scott and Kristen situation.
So you cancel the black people. You bring on the bad white people.
Correct. So bad white people actively try to steal so many things from black culture without any sort of appreciation.
Do we need to look at their faces on TV? They're so blown up now. I'm like, didn't Kim tell Andy Cohen during a reunion of Atlanta that this is why no white person will film with, quote unquote, them?
Yes, correct.
And so we give her her own show and continuously bring it back.
And this whole family is so messed up. Like, Brielle a couple months ago was tweeting about Trump being like, you guys, we just need to give him a break. He is sensitive. You guys, Monty just passed away. The podcast is over. My co-host died.
Okay, my own righteous indignation just brought me back. I am. I
Girl, it's just too much.
I just tweeted a meme or posted a meme today. It was like, Jesus, take the wheel and drive fast. A favorite part saying that, and that is exactly what I feel. Fix it, Jesus. Please fix it. I am disturbed by the words you just said. Please say some other words.
Other words. Summer House is officially filming season 5. Summer House cast members are just so glad to be Summer House cast members. They're like, okay, has everyone gone through their old tweets? Like, okay, did you go through your old Facebook posts? Okay, let's double, triple check so none of us
get Kyle Cook has been like,
he's been like
very pro the movement. He was like, this isn't rocket science, people. And I'm like, stereotypical white frat boy is for the culture. I enjoy him.
I love it. And
I like him. He's just he's an equal opportunity asshole. That's what he is.
Yeah.
It's not discrimination.
I mean, they definitely like have no black friends. And whenever they do have like one black person at a summer house party, every 3 seconds the camera pans to them and it's like, okay, editors, we get it. I
even heard like some of the rumored replacements for a couple people on the cast. We'll talk off air about who that is. Even they are not people of color, like, period. I'm just like, oh boy, y'all really want to just increase this notion that there are just no black people or any other race really like in New York, let alone the Hamptons. I mean, we also watch them actively even try to kick out poor homegirl what is she, from Jordan?
Yeah, she's from
I don't even remember her name.
Jules.
Jules, yeah, from Jordan. And so I'm like, oh no, you can't get rid of her. She's the only one we have.
She did nothing wrong. She hooked up with the weirdo. Like, you should feel bad for her, not kick her out.
Who's not even there. So why would you get mad at her? He's not even in the house.
No sadder conversation when she was talking with Jordan and she's like, so do you consider it sex if you don't have an orgasm? And I'm like, we're still having these conversations with Jordan. I feel like that ship has sailed. I was glad when they were like, go back to wherever you came from, bro. You cannot come back here. Jules,
I was really excited when I wanted it on a shirt that, Kay could make that said, what the fuck, Carl? And I just want her picture because it was like, go off, girl. They're not treating you right. This is not your fault.
Well, Carl is sober and looks so good. He has like a little scruffy beard. He has light back in his face, and I hope he's doing well. Like,
I hope he's doing well too, because this quarantine, I hear that it might be more like a quarantine house vibe, which makes sense. Pandemic's not over, so we might put them all in a house and like leave them there, which could make for insanely compelling content. However, we all know that even though it's alleged, there is a little bit more than rose going on in that house, obviously. There's a lot of bathroom breaks with closed doors happening. And it makes me wonder, like, are we taking Jello shots not on camera? Are we taking something more than Jello?
All so thin.
Yeah.
Drink so much. And they also drink till so late in the night. And if you're doing coke, like, it's the best drug ever because you can drink for longer and you don't get as drunk for whatever reason. Like, I guess the chemicals, I wouldn't know by experience, but I heard
me neither. I heard that that is not my life.
Through the grapevine, I heard that's what happens to you. So yeah, I could see that.
I think Danielle even said once, like, we need to go to the liquor store and get the stuff, and like, oh, we got the party favors and something like that. And I'm just like, just talk about the Tito's, okay? Like, some other things are happening there. But I want to make sure that Carl is okay. Like, I don't want him to throw all this away and then be locked in a house with all these party favors and things, and then quarantine with people. Even if he is not doing party favors, it's still drinking and stuff. Copious amounts of liquor will be consumed in a quarantine house. I know. I'm in my own quarantine house, and copious amounts of liquor have been consumed.
Yeah, the amount of red wine that I have running through my bloodstream right now is alarming. Like,
it's rum, vodka, tequila. I love tequila. We
had a whole conversation about margaritas on your show. Like,
there's many different kinds of tequila at my house.
But my ass, you like were like, no one could ever make a tequila with reposado. I mean, a margarita with reposado. And then in my head, I like go to my bar and I'm like, okay, well, I've only exclusively been making tequila, reposado, margaritas, and that's why I'm wasted. Noted. I actually, so Carrie Duber and Mark Duber from the Real Housewives of Dallas, well, formerly, they have like this like silly little cooking show on Instagram that I really enjoy. I don't understand it. I can't understand where this came from, like my stand-up, but here I am. But they make these things called a Duberito, and it's, I want to kill myself just even saying this, and then also that like I made it. And they use 3 ounces of tequila in 1 margarita.
Oh, you
And they were like,
shocked.
they were, I mean, see how she behaved.
You're such a northern person. But
I
lived in Texas.
shook,
I drink in the South. My 21st birthday was spent in New Orleans, and I was drunk for 5 days straight. And in New Orleans, they were like, girl, every cocktail. And at one restaurant we went to, they were like, every cocktail on this list has 3 ounces of alcohol in it. Every single one. And I was like, 3 ounces. Every single one. She's like, you're going to get drunk. So choose wisely, but also have fun. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I ripped 1 Juberito, and then I was like in bed crying. Like, I'm like, okay, well, that was the fast track to being really sad and drunk. I think I'm a hit back to the red wine. That's kind of.
To say, we up here and up north, we drink a little bit more socially. Like, we are very much so like. I just started dating around on Netflix, and it's like we get drinks in one place, and then we have dinner with drinks at another place. Then we have like after dinner drinks at someplace else, and like a last call or a night call somewhere else, like at a lounge. That is not necessarily how the South gets down. They are able to hold that liquor. They are very capable of holding that liquor, and it's like I wonder a lot about their diabetes, situation, because they drink a lot of sweet tea and lemonade like regularly. Yeah. It's just like ready. Just in case there is a guest. We are more like let's plan 3 weeks in advance for you to come to my house. They're more like, oh my God, you stopped by. My hair is naturally curled. I'm wearing a great dress. I have on my house shoes and maybe like a little like makeup. And oh no, look, there is a fresh batch of sweet tea in the kitchen. Would you like it sweetened or unsweetened? Peach or no peach? Some fruit? Maybe a little cheese? Okay, we'll stay for 5 hours and let's have a cocktail. Like that's kind of how
a cocktail.
So I mean, it's one of the few reasons that the South is like kind of lit.
I've only honestly been to New Orleans. I went to Florida on a day trip on a cruise, but other than that, I've never been to Florida, which is gross. I've never been.
I'm not. That's too southern to me. People know, like I lived in Atlanta until quarantine and pandemic happened. I'm actually moving back in the fall. To Atlanta to finish my degree. And I also lived in Dallas for a few years when I was young. Some of the best years of my life, also experienced some of the most racism in my life. And there were only 3 years and I was a child, but it's fine. We'll figure it out.
I'm working through it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, speaking of actually Dallas, this isn't really what I wanted to talk about, but so Dallas Housewives just started filming because they opened up all of their locations, whatnot, but now like all of the numbers are showing like corona cases are skyrocketing in Dallas. And also in the OC. So Kelly Dodd, throw on a fucking mask, you swine.
No.
She
said it's God's way of thinning out the herd. Well, I don't believe that, but since she does, if she somehow thinks that means that it doesn't apply to her, I'd love to see the results. I completely think the opposite. I don't think this is God's way of thinning out the herd. I think this is common sense. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt other people. But let's see where her logic takes us.
Well, she's hanging out in Florida right now too, where the cases are also on.
Oh God!
Yeah, so she can't get herself off the plane. She just did not get the memo that it's like you just kind of want to stay in and be with your family, but she's like
unnecessary travel. Like
she can't be alone, and she can't like not have a life that's like constantly moving and shaking. Because I feel like if she's sitting alone in her home, she'd have to like address herself as a human being.
It's so upsetting because this is like there are plenty of medical professionals and news people who are like their jobs are on the line and they really are like we have to
literally her husband
to go places. You would think she'd care about him, but no, they're fine. It's God's way of thinking out to her, but somehow that doesn't apply to us. We're just protected. God just loves us. So whatever elitism they have in their Christianity, I am very concerned by. Like that is not a thing. like, did you read the Bible? Don't say none of that. Like, none of that elitism is involved. In fact, it's the complete opposite of superiority. But sure, girl.
I feel like I can take a wild guess and say Kelly Dodd has not read the Bible. I can say that.
Yeah, I could say for certain. Her, Vicky, Tamara, they used to throw Jesus out and God all the time. I'm like, have you read it? Did you read it?
Like,
I have.
Vicky's podcast this week, she was saying how Steve was the reason she got fired because Bravo viewers are uber liberal and he's super conservative, and so that was the reason. I'm like, right. Nothing to do with you, girl. Nothing.
Also, girl, again, Real Housewives of Dallas. They are conservative. They're very Bible belty, and people watch them. It's not about Steve. It's you, because we watch the girls be conservative. Okay.
Also, like,
Dallas is hell of that.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
Another just side thing that I got from that interview, she was talking about how her producer for the last 2 seasons, or the producer who is now Kyle's lead producer on Beverly Hills, and she said that he is like out to get them, and he's always like out to get the big dog, whether it's like a Kyle or Vicky. And so she was like, Kyle has a lot to worry about.
That seems like it's working.
If he's the big dog producer on her storyline. So
that seems like it's working. I've never really agreed with Vicky, but that seems right.
She's not wrong on that one.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, we have some good news too. Below Deck's chief stew, Hannah Ferrier, I don't know if I'm saying her last name correctly, is done with Below Deck. Bye. And also pregnant. She is expecting a baby this upcoming October with her boyfriend named Josh, who is a real estate guy and originally from Scotland. So I can imagine their kid is going to have the most confusing accent. Like, I do not know where that accent is going to land on the Scottish to Australian spectrum, but I'm really excited to hear it. And I'm happy for her, because you could tell, and Captain Sandy on this like most recent season, like Hannah walks in and Sandy is like, your passion is not here and you do not like doing this. And it's like, okay, let's start off with
I think on the very first episode, Hannah even said, like, I am pretty much here until I get knocked up. And now she's knocked up, so she's no longer here.
I love that. And I'm happy for her, but it is funny watching last season where you see Kate Chastain, who, as much as she became like a personality and not as much of a chief stew because she was, doing like Hollywood shit, you could see how Kate was actually a good chief stew, and then how Hannah is just so not a person who should be like leading a team or be responsible for like 2 other people's jobs and growth. And I mean, this season's been really interesting to watch. Like, that Italian girl Lara is just, she's really bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. They now cast to raise hell. They cast to raise hell, and they're doing it right.
Yeah, I'm definitely into it, and I'm happy for her. But there's actually like some other random Below Deck news that people were like, "Why didn't you talk about?" So Jack, remember Jack from last year? He was like the rogue guy. He's a father now too. He got beautiful model knocked up and has like a beautiful baby, which like is kind of shocking.
I'd expect nothing less.
Yeah, I was like, oh, right. But now I follow her, and I'm always like, on my personal Instagram, I only like follow my friends. I don't follow Bravo people to try to create like a church and state between my life. And then on like the Bravo Happy Hour Instagram, I follow all these people. And the other day I was like going through and I was like, who the fuck is this like influencer model type? And I clicked and I was like, oh yeah, Jack's girl. I'm like, what am I doing? Unfollow. I can't. I do not need 6-packs on my feed. That is kind of a rule at this point.
Seems healthy.
And then we end the show with one little nugget, which is the sad reality. The Tinsley Mortimer from the Real Housewives of New York has officially announced that she is leaving Real Housewives of New York. So this past week they had an episode where it kind of ended, and she had like her closing scene where it was like, Tinsley's moving to Chicago to be with Scott, and I'm really happy for her. I'm glad.
I would have loved to see her land in Chicago. I was upset. I mean, I get why they did like an ending, kind of like a little package with the words and everything, because that's what we do when we end the season, and this is ending her season for good. But I'm like, I also feel like they should have given us more of an announcement. I found out pretty much on Instagram because Tinsley reposted her own engagement and was like, It's been a pleasure. Loved all of y'all. And I was like, oh, so like, is this her last episode? Because they would not let her post this again unless it
Yeah.
was the case. But I wish it would have been like, join us for Tinsley's, send off. I mean, it's not like they don't need the promotion and the ratings. New York is not doing well. So they should have told me ahead of time. I would not have recorded it. I would have like watched it live with a glass of Chardonnay and been like, cheers, Tinsley. I love you. Enjoy marriage life.
I think in a way they probably were kind of shocked that this happened. I think they probably knew that Tinsley had one foot out the door anyways, because it was getting to the point where it was like, Tins, either you move to Chicago to be with Scott or you're not going to be with Scott. Like, you need to kind of make this decision. But it was like kind of sad. Like, her like last scene was like her at a bar with Ramona and Luann. Oh, actually, no, that wasn't the last scene, the second to last scene. And like Ramona has a date coming, another date like coming in after him, and like she's not even giving a shit. Like they don't care. And then we see the other scene where it's like Sonia and Leah with Dale like packing her stuff up from the.
Did you see what Sonia commented?
Oh yeah.
On Tinsley's thing or Tinsley's a post? I was like, Sonia, you gotta let it go, honey. Like, you legitimately gotta stop. You got a freaking Louis Vuitton as a thank you. Dale just thanked you on national TV. Tinsley threw you a party. And she's like, and you never would have made it without me. Don't forget to say me. I'm like, how many times do we have to thank? No, I'm tired. This is very much so why I was always Team Bethany when it came to her and Dorinda and the Nutcracker. Because I'm like, these women want you to literally kiss their ass every second of the rest of the time they know you. That's not a friendship, and I don't want to do things to people who want that. Like, that feels very loaded to me. I can't constantly be in debt to you when I've literally paid the debt. Like, come on, girl. Be real.
It doesn't really make sense why Sonia's like still kind of harping on it. Like, it's kind of like get over
so crazy.
it. But I think as much as we've been seeing this season with Dorinda struggling with Tinsley, I think they all kind of feel this jealousy in a way that Tinsley is like now getting like the fairy tale that she always wanted, whereas a lot of these women like have had because like Tinsley was divorced and then had that whole lawsuit thing with the ex-boyfriend. Yeah. And so she was like in a bad place, but now
she had a chance to start over.
She had a chance to start over. And all of these ladies do too. But like for Dorinda, she'll never be able to find a man who can compete with Richard. And that's really unfortunate because as much
worldly,
as
smart,
like educated, all of these things, and brought her around circles that were like really bougie, like hanging out with the Clintons and doing all these different types of events.
Fancy.
Like that's a life you can't really easily replicate. And I also think Dorinda at this point has like marked herself as kind of like unhinged on the show. Like, how is she really going to try to find a man of Richard's caliber after she spent 5 seasons on this show, progressively getting worse and worse and worse and more bitter and more unhappy? And it's unfortunate because she's like was such a crowd like favorite. Like everybody loved her when she first started on the show, but
yeah, she's really miserable now. And I hate to say it, but I've even heard that in real life she's kind of miserable, and a little broke allegedly, and also very mean to employees allegedly.
I mean, well,
not a good woman.
The first season she was on the show, she was like sitting in a restaurant and like a black guy walks past her and she's like, waiter, and he's like, I don't work here. And she was like, oh, like hilarious, oh, kooky, crazy me. Like,
that's at least not as bad as Kelly Dodd's feigning of disappointment and like utter like disgust when TMZ asked her, about if she was like interested in black men, and she was like, I don't like black guys. Makes me think I like black guys. And I was like, oh,
that's a damn shame.
What does that mean? What are we saying? How dare we think that a woman who claims to be like a cougar on the loose in the OC wouldn't like any man? Or is it just black men? Oh, excuse us. Oh, I'm so sorry. But okay, boo, they don't like you either. So
I mean, she'd probably like him if he's got some money in his pocket. So let's see about that.
Yeah, it's one of the main reasons that I think that OC is done anyway. I really do. I think that we are I think we're over it. I honestly think that there's no more that they can do. It's sad because I also really like Bronwyn, but I think she'd be the only saving grace.
Yeah.
And especially if it's true of what they're doing with Beverly Hills and that they're possibly on a longer hiatus than New York because they're trying to comb through and either edit Brandy out altogether or at least edit out anything problematic that she said. If we're doing that with one friend of, I can't imagine how much we'd have to do that with Kelly Dot on OC.
I mean, and now at this point, Bravo is going to be under such a microscope from fans and viewers to be holding like the ladies accountable for things. And so I think even having someone like a loose cannon, like a Kelly, like a Vicky, like a Tamra, like it's just becoming a liability at this point.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you have someone like Bronwyn, who is very different than the other ladies, has been like on the front lines of these protests with her kids.
Also a housewife with money.
Yeah. But well, that's
she actually is the brand. I'm sorry. She's a housewife with money. Doesn't have like an actual definitive career or business at the moment. She's more like side projects and other hustles, and her time to shine is now. She's raised kids and now her husband supports her in like the second leg of her life to be whatever she wants, which is kind of the point. But like he has also enough money to do that. Very nice home, and actually like her husband likes her and says like kids
that
she still raises, and like we're in her house and we see the family that we don't know, which is why I really feel like we need to push and get rid of. I think we need to get rid of people who've been on the show longer than 6 seasons. I'm sorry. I think across the board, if I've seen your kids grow up, there's nothing new you can show me, because then we're going to get a Ryan on our hands from Tamra. And I'm just like, I don't want that. Once Shannon's kids went to college, I think we should be done. Yeah. Like, it's okay if we move on to new kids. I want to see new kids run around. I want to see new little Spencers and stuff. Like, I want to be like, oh, I like that one. Oh, he's cute. I want to see Jolie grow up. I was okay with those things. But now it feels like we need to meet new families. And Bronwyn's like the only one that I kind of want to know. I mean, we can't even have Gina. Her husband won't even let them film or whatever. So what is there in OC? Nothing.
Yeah, I know. The last few episodes, like, I have like all these outlines, and I was going to talk about like Megan King Edmonds' new boyfriend. I was like going through it. I'm like, but who gives a fuck? Like the new girl on OC, Liz, whatever, just hanging around with big fucking AK-47s in her hand. I'm like, great, that's
and French tips. And I don't know which is more offensive. And like velour juicy tracksuits. And I used to love a good velour, but girl, we're 40 plus.
No, yeah, you gotta ditch the velour.
I don't even think Juicy still sells them. Like, are you crazy? Like, yeah, that too. So I'm just like, no, I don't want to go back to 2006. I really don't. This is what it feels. It feels like we're back in 2006 with our Ed Hardy is involved. So we have rhinestone baseball caps. It feels like we're wearing chunky necklaces. We feel like I'm gonna get like a Lynn Curtin cuff. Like I feel very much so like we're going backwards, and I don't like it.
Forwards only. Forward
Please.
only.
Onward, as Jackie Schimmel says. I'm mocking her, but she always says onward.
Oh,
it was her response to racism.
Oh no.
Yeah, her statements.
I heard her statement where like, I've always wanted to be Black. And when I was in the 5th grade, I had a crush on a guy named Marty. Because I saw a poster of Martin Luther King. When I heard that, I was like, good night. Like, turns off the entire throws phone out the window. I was like, oh, right. So that's how you address racism. You discuss
I gotta get out of here.
Childhood crush.
I don't know if I can be in this world anymore. Like, I would just like to make a point. My parting words have to address women and people, period, who like to say that they are not racist because not just that they like Black people, not just that they're friends with Black people, it's that they fuck Black people. That is so a problem. That is not a God, it hurts my throat. I feel like it is hard liquor going down and cheap, like grainy, like not even the good, not even like rail liquor from college that I could take on a Thursday evening with no classes on a Friday morning. This feels hard, like rubbing alcohol hard to get out. When Leanne says she's not a racist to Carrie because she likes a hot Latin lover and she sat on Enrique Iglesias or Julio Iglesias' lap, who by the way is Spanish, not Mexican. I was like, okay, that was called fetishizing.
That makes
That's
sense.
also called not being. It just means that you don't discriminate in sex, which is legitimately still very problematic. It does not mean you respect them as human life. It means you respect what that you think they can do for you, and you see them as a body, which is worse. And has some really, really, really hard ties to things like, I don't know, racism, slavery, like badness.
Those two things.
Alert. Like, don't do it. Don't say that. And so to say you have a crush on on men, the black, you like black guys doing good, don't do it. Just don't do it. Even if you think it, don't do it. I promise. Not a good idea. No matter what, even if you don't know why, come to my DMs. I promise I will help you find resources. I'm not explaining it to you because that seems like common sense, but I will find you the resources where you can get this information, send you on your way. You can also Google it, but until then, just don't do it. But just don't do it. And please don't ever utter the words that I always wanted to be black.
Like, girl, you are a white girl from Los Angeles. You need to.
If she really grew up in Los Angeles and just did a little research on how black people in Los Angeles and in their neighborhoods, how they grew up, I'm pretty sure A, she would not be saying that, and B, she would realize it's not glamorous. If you don't watch the news at this moment, it's not always a cakewalk, girl. Sometimes it's really difficult, apparently. Sometimes it's hard to just live. And then you're just like, okay, I got to literally debate in my Instagram DMs every day why I should live. Let's let that sink in. That's what I spend my time doing when I'm not on Bravo Happy Hour. I remind white women why I should be alive.
Well, that was a beautiful segue to the end of the show.
That's a great way. And people are probably listening like, oh,
like, she just spit some realness. We did not expect that.
They're like, oh, that's awful. I don't like that. Also, watch Potomac. There's a happy way to end it.
Hell always yeah, watch Potomac.
Always that.
Whenever that comes out, I'm excited. But Moni, where can people find you, follow you, and listen to your incredible podcast?
Yes, you can listen to me rant and say a bunch of other nonsense for way too long. Also, on my own podcast, anywhere you listen to this one, you might even find me right on the charts, right under this. I don't know.
Find you on the charts.
Yes, mixing with Moni, anywhere you podcast, of course, and on Instagram and Twitter at Mixing with Moni, MIXING, WITHMANI.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for coming on, and you'll be back again.